The internet has this wild way of taking you down rabbit holes you never asked for, right? One minute you're scrolling through your feed, and the next thing you know, you're watching someone run 240 miles through the desert, or ugly crying over strangers passing the California bar exam. But here's where it gets interesting. What happens when your feed suddenly becomes obsessed with something way more dramatic than ultramarathons? I'm talking about Love Island drama, specifically the absolute chaos that is Nicolandria. Yeah, that's the couple name for Nic and Olandria from Love Island USA Season 7, and if you thought watching someone run hundreds of miles was intense, wait until you hear about the Taylor situation, the Ace controversy, and everything that went down with this dating show couple that has the internet absolutely spiraling. We're diving deep into the villa drama, the post-show tea, and all the moments that made fans question everything. Trust me, this is way more entertaining than any marathon. And hey, if you're about to spend the next 20 minutes with me going through all this chaos, might as well hit that subscribe button real quick. I promise to make your procrastination worthwhile. Plus, you'll need updates when more drama inevitably drops.
Let's rewind to the beginning. Love Island USA Season 7 brought in a fresh batch of singles ready to couple up, find love, and probably cause some drama along the way. Nic walked into that villa with confidence, and Olandria arrived with the kind of energy that immediately caught attention. When Olandria first entered, she wasn't immediately coupled with Nic, but there was something about the way they interacted during group challenges and conversations that had fans starting to notice. The chemistry was there, bubbling under the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode into a full-blown couple situation.
Those late-night chats by the pool, the stolen moments during challenges, the way they'd gravitate toward each other during group activities, fans watching at home started picking up on the subtle glances, the body language, the way their energy shifted when they were around each other. Social media started buzzing with speculation. When they finally decided to couple up, it felt like a moment. Not just another strategic move, but an actual connection that viewers could see developing authentically. The way Nic explained his decision during the recoupling ceremony had fans emotional. Olandria's reaction was everything. You could see the genuine happiness, the relief that the feelings were mutual. The Nicolandria era officially began, and fans were invested. Ship names started trending, fan accounts popped up overnight, and every episode became must-watch television. They had cute moments during challenges, deep conversations about their lives outside the villa, and that natural chemistry that you can't fake for reality TV cameras.
But here's where things get complicated, because this is Love Island, and smooth sailing is never part of the equation. Before Olandria came into the picture, there was Taylor. And the Taylor situation is where a lot of the controversy and debate around Nicolandria actually starts. Taylor and Nic had a real connection early in the season. They had genuine conversations, shared vulnerable moments, and seemed to be building something authentic. Fans who were watching from day one saw Nic opening up to Taylor in ways that suggested he was serious about exploring that connection. When Nic started showing interest in getting to know Olandria better, Taylor obviously noticed. The tension started building. Other islanders noticed it too, and suddenly everyone in the villa was aware that a potential recoupling drama was brewing. The recoupling where Nic chose Olandria over Taylor was intense. Taylor had to stand there and watch Nic explain why he was choosing to explore a connection with Olandria instead, knowing that decision might mean she'd be going home if no other guy picked her.
Social media absolutely exploded. Team Taylor versus Team Olandria debates dominated every Love Island discussion forum, Twitter thread, and Instagram comment section. Some fans felt Nic had led Taylor on and made a disrespectful choice. Others argued that's literally the point of the show, to explore connections and find your best match, even if that means hurting someone in the process. Taylor handled it with more grace than most would, which actually won her more fans. But suddenly, Nic and Olandria are trying to build their relationship while his ex-coupling partner is right there, watching it all unfold. The Taylor situation became a defining part of the Nic Olandria narrative. Every cute moment between Nic and Olandria had viewers in the comments debating whether he'd made the right choice, whether their connection was genuine or just based on physical attraction and newness. It's the kind of controversy that keeps people watching because everyone has an opinion.
But just when things seemed to be settling down, Love Island threw another wrench into the works. Enter Ace, and suddenly we've got a whole new layer of drama to dissect. Ace walked into the villa with confidence and immediately started making his intentions clear. He was interested in Olandria. Not in a subtle way, but in a direct, I think we'd be great together, and I'm here to pursue that way. Suddenly, Nic was in the position of watching someone actively try to turn Olandria's head, and he was not handling it well. The irony wasn't lost on fans. Here was Nic, who had just left Taylor to pursue Olandria, now freaking out because someone was doing essentially the same thing to him. The internet had a field day with that parallel. Memes flooded timelines, comment sections turned into philosophical debates about karma, and everyone watching had opinions about whether Nic had the right to be upset given his own recent behavior.
Olandria was in a difficult position. She'd just gotten into this couple with Nic, things were going well, and she was genuinely invested. But Love Island's whole premise is staying open to connections, and Ace was attractive, confident, and very clearly interested. Every conversation she had with Ace, every challenge where they were partnered up, every moment of laughter or connection sent Nic spiraling. His facial expressions became memes. His commentary to the other guys became viral clips. What made the Ace situation different was how genuine his interest seemed. He wasn't just causing chaos for screen time. In his conversations with Olandria, he opened up about what he was looking for, shared vulnerable stories, and made a real effort to connect. That authenticity made Olandria's decision harder. The other islanders were watching this unfold with popcorn-worthy investment. The villa split into camps, and suddenly every conversation was somehow related to the Nic Olandria Ace triangle. Nic's insecurity during this period showed a different side of him. Having to compete for Olandria's attention brought out jealousy and doubt. He started questioning whether he'd made the right choice leaving Taylor, whether Olandria was as invested as he was, whether he was about to get his heart broken on national television as karmic payback. The recoupling ceremony where Olandria had to decide between Nic and Ace was appointment television. When Olandria chose to stay with Nic, explaining that while she appreciated getting to know Ace, her connection with Nic was deeper and worth continuing to explore, you could literally see the relief wash over him. Before we dive into what's really been happening with them lately, real quick, if you're still watching and need more drama in your life, subscribe so you don't miss when I inevitably have to make an update video about whatever chaos unfolds next. Your girl stays on top of the tea.
Now, here's where things get interesting. Because surviving Love Island drama while you're in the villa is one thing, but what happens after you leave is a completely different challenge. The show wrapped with Nic and Olandria still together, looking loved up and optimistic about their future. But anyone who's watched multiple seasons knows that's when the real test begins. Those first few weeks after the show aired were crucial. Nic and Olandria started showing up in each other's social media posts. Instagram stories of them hanging out, TikToks of them being cute together. Fans were cautiously optimistic. But then the social media activity started getting weird. Not dramatically wrong, just off. The posts became less frequent. When they did post about each other, the captions felt more formal, less intimate. Fans who tracked these things obsessively started noticing they weren't appearing in each other's Instagram stories as much.
The reality is that maintaining a relationship that started on reality TV is incredibly difficult. You go from living in a controlled environment where your only job is getting to know each other to real life with jobs, distance, family obligations, and the pressure of thousands of people watching and judging your every move. For Nic Olandria specifically, there were additional challenges.
The controversy around how their relationship started meant they were already fighting against a narrative that they weren't meant to last. Every rough patch got amplified by people saying, "I knew it wouldn't work," or "he should have stayed with Taylor." Let's talk about Cierra's role in all this, because she was more influential to the Nicolandria story than people initially realized. Cierra came into Love Island USA Season 7 and quickly became one of the more strategic players in the villa. Her friendship with Olandria specifically played a part in how things unfolded. Cierra and Olandria bonded early in the season. That friendship was beautiful to watch, but also meant Cierra had significant influence over Olandria's decisions. When Nic started showing interest, Cierra was one of the people Olandria talked to about whether to pursue it.
During the Ace controversy, Cierra was again in Olandria's ear. The conversations between them about whether to explore the connection with Ace or stay committed to Nic were some of the most interesting moments of those episodes. Cierra played devil's advocate, asking the hard questions about whether Olandria was staying with Nic because of genuine feelings or because she didn't want to look fickle. Those conversations forced Olandria to really think about her choice, which ultimately probably strengthened her decision to stay with Nic. Now, let's compare Nic Olandria to other Love Island couples, because context matters. Love Island USA has had multiple seasons, and the success rate of couples who meet on the show actually making it in the real world is, let's be honest, not great. Season 1's Elizabeth and Zach lasted a while but eventually broke up. Season 2's Justine and Caleb seemed like the real deal, but split up amid controversy. The pattern repeats across seasons. Couples who look perfect in the villa struggle when reality hits.
What makes relationships work post-Love Island seems to come down to a few factors. Geographic compatibility matters more than people think. Shared values and life goals beyond physical attraction become crucial. Public pressure is the silent killer of Love Island relationships. When thousands of people are invested in your relationship, watching your every move and commenting on your social media, it creates an environment where every small argument feels like a referendum on your entire relationship. For Nicolandria specifically, they're fighting against additional odds because of how their relationship started. Couples that form after someone else gets hurt tend to carry that baggage forever in the public eye. Every time things seem rocky, people are quick to say karma or what did you expect? The comparison to successful Love Island couples puts pressure on them to prove everyone wrong. If they break up, it confirms everyone's doubts. If they stay together, they're constantly having to prove it's genuine.
So where are Nic and Olandria now? This is where things get complicated because depending on what you're looking at and when you're looking at it, you might get different impressions. As of the most recent social media activity, they're still posting about each other, which is generally a good sign. The content feels more relaxed than it did in those weird months where things seemed off. They've been spotted together at events, and the body language and photos suggest they're comfortable with each other. But they're also not being as openly affectionate or communicative about their relationship status as they were immediately post-show. Some fans interpret this as them settling into a more mature, private relationship where they don't feel the need to perform for social media constantly. Other fans think it's a sign they're together but struggling, putting on a united front publicly while figuring things out privately. What we know for sure is that both are focused on building their individual brands and careers post-Love Island. That independence is actually healthy for a relationship, even if fans sometimes interpret it as distance.
Recent interviews have been carefully vague about their relationship status. When asked directly, both tend to give answers like, "We're taking things day by day," or "We're focused on ourselves right now," which could mean anything. The ambiguity is probably intentional, letting them figure things out without constant public pressure. Taylor has moved on and seems happy, which has actually taken some pressure off Nicolandria. Ace has been publicly supportive of Love Island couples in general, not stirring up drama about his own elimination. Real quick before we wrap this up, if you made it this far and haven't subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that button so you can see whatever happens next in this saga, because something always happens next.
Looking at the bigger picture, Nicolandria's story is compelling because it touches on so many universal relationship themes despite the unusual circumstances. The question of whether you can build something real when the foundation involves hurt feelings and controversy.
The challenge of maintaining a relationship when you're both growing and changing rapidly. The pressure of outside opinions and expectations affecting how you see your own relationship. These are things every couple deals with, just not usually with thousands of people watching. The Taylor situation will probably always be part of the Nicolandria narrative, and that's just the reality of how their relationship began. In some ways, it's made them more interesting because they're constantly having to prove that choosing each other was worth it. The Iscount controversy added another layer of authenticity to their journey. The fact that Olandria had to actively choose Nic over another legitimate option proved that their connection was real, not just convenient.
The transformation from villa contestants to real-world individuals with careers, goals, and lives beyond Love Island has been interesting to watch. Nic has found his niche in the influencer space, developing a personal brand that's about more than just being the guy from Love Island. Olandria has similarly built her own platform, creating content that showcases her personality beyond just being in a relationship. That independence is crucial because it means neither of them is solely dependent on the Nicolandria narrative for relevance or income. One aspect that doesn't get talked about enough is the actual work that goes into maintaining a relationship under these circumstances. Beyond the public pressure and social media drama, they're dealing with all the normal relationship stuff, communication challenges, different love languages, conflicting schedules, family dynamics, and figuring out if their life goals align. The geographical aspect has been a challenge. Long-distance elements, even if not full-time long-distance, strain relationships.
Then there are the inevitable temptations that come with the territory. Both are attractive people who are now in the public eye, getting attention from fans and brands, and potentially other attractive people in their industry. Maintaining boundaries, trusting each other, and not letting jealousy or insecurity destroy what they have requires constant effort and communication. As we wrap this up, the state of Nicolandria is probably best described as ongoing. They're not a fairy tale success story, but they're not a dramatic crash and burn failure either. They're somewhere in the middle, doing their best to navigate an unusual situation with the tools they have. That's actually the most realistic outcome for any Love Island couple. Not perfect, not terrible, just figuring it out day by day.
The ultimate question of whether Nicolandria will last can't be answered definitively right now. Check back in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and we'll have a clearer picture. What we can say is that they've already lasted longer than some people predicted, they've weathered some significant storms, and they seem committed to trying to make it work. Whether that's enough remains to be seen. The broader lesson from the Nicolandria saga is that modern relationships, especially those that start in public, face challenges previous generations never had to navigate. Social media scrutiny, constant documentation, performance for audiences, outside opinions, having unprecedented access to your relationship, these are new stressors that we're all still figuring out how to handle. Nic and Olandria are learning in real time with thousands of people watching.
The entertainment value of their story is undeniable. From the initial coupling, through the Taylor drama, the Ace Challenge, and the post-show ups and downs, Nicolandria has provided compelling content for Love Island fans. Whether you're Team Nicolandria or not, you've probably had strong opinions at various points. But beyond the entertainment, there's something genuinely human about their story. Two people met in weird circumstances, felt a connection, made messy choices to pursue it, and are now trying to figure out if what they have can survive the real world. The final word on Nicolandria is that their story is still being written. They're young, they're figuring things out, and they're doing it under circumstances that would challenge even the strongest relationships. Whether they end up as one of Love Island's rare success stories or become another cautionary tale about reality TV romance, they've already created a narrative that's kept people engaged and talking.
For Nic, the journey has been a wild ride. He's grown, learned hard lessons about public perception, and hopefully figured out what he really wants in a relationship.
For Olandria, she's handled criticism with grace, made difficult choices, and maintained her sense of self despite constant scrutiny. For Taylor, moving past the situation with dignity has earned her respect. For Ace, he's moved on without drama and hasn't made Nic Olandria's relationship his storyline. In the end, whether they make it or not, Nic and Olandria gave us a story worth following. They made us think about relationships, choices, loyalty, and the complications of modern dating. They entertained us, frustrated us, made us root for them or against them, and kept us engaged. The marathon watching phenomenon that started this whole conversation is weirdly relevant. Sometimes we get invested in things that have nothing to do with our actual lives, tracking the relationship status of people we've never met from a reality show. That investment, that fascination with other people's journeys, is part of what makes us human.
For Nic Olandria, the ending hasn't been written yet. They might get married and have kids and become one of those couples that people point to as proof that Love Island relationships can work. They might break up next month and both move on to other relationships, other lives, other stories. Whatever happens, their story has already made an impact. They've given us content, conversation, and a case study in what happens when you pursue a connection in the most public way possible. Will they make it? Ask me again in a year. For now, they're in the middle of their story, and like any good story, we'll have to wait to see how it ends. The beauty of reality TV relationships is that they're real, messy, complicated, imperfect, and ongoing. Nic Olandria is all of that and more, which is exactly why people can't stop watching, talking, and speculating about what comes next. The adventure continues, the story evolves, and we're all still watching to see what happens next. Nic Olandria gave us a chapter worth reading, and whether the ending is happy or sad, at least it was never boring.